Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, today also we are going to start the talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Katami tayo dhamma pahatabba tisso tanhati ti. Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, we are dealing with these 3 kinds of desires or cravings known as the proximate cause for our sansaric suffering, and therefore Venerable Sariputta is defining it as something we have to get rid of. So, in this process, we try our best to understand what is the term meaning of tanha and what are the shades of meanings, so that we can make it a affordable task. We can find a suitable place to start with, because it is by itself is a very complicated and very matured and very time-tested kind of a challenge. So, the Buddha defining the tanha as the proximate single cause for the suffering, or it is a cause for suffering. Whenever he is giving further details, he divided or separate this tanha with 3 adjectives: kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. The kama tanha is the part we recognize as sensuous pleasure, and we gain it through our senses, i.e. ear, nose, tongue and the body, and hardly we consider whether this kind of an indulgence or sense pleasure is leading to for our well-being. Is it for our good? Because we are vehemently, we are fighting one against the other, one-upmanship to get more and more pleasure, or tanha, and we people get together here. We can't say underprivileged people, we are basically with the basic needs. But we know the world picture is not so. The many are there, they do not have even the basic needs. They have nothing to eat as a dinner. We also nothing to eat as a dinner. And we know why. But the other people, it's utter discrimination of wealth. Bad discrimination of the wealth, they have no access. So therefore, for them, the desire, satisfying or self-indulgence is a different meaning maybe. But we know they may also have kind of a meaning for their good visual things and hearing and smelling, touching and tasting. We too have, even we are a little better off regarding the basic needs, our unsatisfactoriness, vacuum and not yet complete kind of idea, exactly we same with them. No one on the earth, whatever the subject to materialism you have, this tanha never get appeased. Is always uno atitto kamadaso. Uno means always a vacuum, always a lacunae. Atitto, no one is satisfied, insatiable. And we are always a slavery, and work like slaves to fulfill tanha. So, when and where this tanha come into being, that is called, this is the first and foremost tanha at the face value, it's called kama tanha, and we can say it's a sensual pleasure or sense-related pleasure. And whenever you are going to deal it with, you may find it is the tip of the iceberg, but underneath, huge amount of berg is there, and that is the one pushing this kama tanha up, that is the one expressing, that is the one above the surface water level, but huge iceberg is there. That belongs to bhavatanha and vibhavatanha. That is the existence, the desire for existence, thinking I am. Ergo cogito sum. I think, therefore I am. So I have to think about tomorrow. So not only the sense organs, or sense pleasure, sense indulgence, and whether it is satisfied or not, hardly ever we have any kind of the word of enough, always not enough. And even if it is come to a certain kind of achievable task, the bhavatanha, that the desire for this false identification as self, we are not aware unless otherwise someone come and tell you. Because we are ever unsatisfactory with this sense desire and always do slavery to fulfill the sense desires, and underneath this existence and or eternalism, or there is something called soul, it is none of others' business, I have to take care about. So that comes when and where you are being threatened, or being dejected. Whenever the danger happens, it comes. So it fight or flight. So therefore, tanha is divided into kama tanha, and then what we are talking is bhava tanha, and when and where that is not achievable, or when and where you find difficult, that nihilistic idea, death instinct is always waiting. If you can't achieve something, you will kill yourself. You will commit yourself. And or otherwise you will kill others. Or you hate others. Or expect suffering for others. That is also there. They are the reciprocal thing. Your existence, if it is not allowed, the whole world must die. I will kill everyone. So that is the nihilistic part. And when we are in a party, or when we are throwing a party, or when we are kind of thing, you will never feel that you have the death instinct. But it is a part and partial. And it is in the deep down there. That is how today we can see so much of money and brains are used for these weapons. The whole industry today is weaponry. Most profitable is weaponry. Present day scientists, they do not know they are helping this weapon industry. Every research, everything is geared to that. All these technologies, nothing but outcome of this weapon industry research. And it is nihilistic. And if someone can find an atomic bomb or something like to kill all the people at once, he will get more and more Nobel Prizes. But sorry enough, once he tried, everyone gone, nothing to give the prize or nothing to receive the prize. But this is what it happens. So individually we think we are very innocent, we are not contributing to this nihilism. But it is not so. Even a young child, a toddler, he is carrying this kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. Even when we are calm and quiet and we are with the moral restraint, even we are with the concentration restraint, and even with the halfway to the wisdom restraint, we never understand these underlying tendencies or dispositions. So it is a kind of a religious aspect. It is nothing to do with basic needs. It is nothing to do with political science. It is nothing to do with economical science. It is nothing to do with social science. And hardly we can do it plural terms also. You have to reduce yourself as singular, and then only you can do. Because no one is happy analyzing these kind of thing in society at large. It's a personal. Why should someone come? And that part was completely attributed to the God, will of the God, wrath of the God. And for the first time, Sigmund Freud started analyzing it, and the church was very upset. They think that is none of our human business. It is only the God can decide whom to be gifted or whom to be punished. But when it is growing, the Sigmund Freud's ideas and this thing, and he found bits and pieces of Buddhist analysis through Schopenhauer, and found much before, Buddha has given complete analysis, and not only that, answer also. Complete answer. And we are now, with the help of this scientific evidence and the Western philosophy and the Buddhist, when we are practicing, we can understand here and there some of the teaching of the Buddha, some of the teaching the Sigmund Freud tried to share with us. It is happening, but not at the superficial level. At the superficial level, you have to deal with moral restraint. And when you go deep layers, you have to be successful in concentration training, and still not enough, then you have to go in a radical way, radical reflection, to understand these perversions and kind of thing. So, theoretically, we may achieve something. So that's the first and foremost thing. So in a talk like this, we try to get acquainted with all the kind of analytical terms and the ways to find the soft end where we can start, and while we are continuing, day by day, we may rationalize some of them, but it is not so delightful task, because it is going against the grain. Simply it is going against the grain. So therefore we can't expect everyone to accept 100% acceptance of theory, 100% acceptance of the rationalization and inferential knowledge, and 100% success in practical, under the nose personal experience. But it's a huge proportion. If you understand 100%, how much you can reason it out, how much you can rationalize it out, how can get the inferential knowledge, definitely proportionate, partial. Out of that only, little proportion, you can realize it. So therefore, ever we must listen to it while practicing and see how much we have theoretical understanding, rationalization and experience. It's an evolving thing. It's an evolving thing, and also the process is not linear. It is very matrix form. It's growing in all the directions. So therefore, theoretically or linear way that we are learning in the classroom only help in the theoretical sense. But in the rationalization we are completely different in different, living in different universe. Our likings and dislikings are not equal. So therefore the way you use for your rationalization, they say we are in a multiverse. My thinking is never the other person's thinking. By the way he is reasoning it out according to his upbringing, or her upbringing, or her cultural values, her likings and disliking. Never the same. Never. So therefore, even we have theoretical understanding, we reasoning, and getting the contemplation and how do you interpret it is completely different. So we may be learning in the same class, but the understanding and interpretation differs, and out of that only you decide what to practice, what to put into practice, and that is also appear like a different universe or multiverse. So that is why even after 2600 years, the way we realize it is our own unique way, our own the intrinsical way. So therefore, it's called lifelong experiment. You have to put yourself and see. And when it is happening, you can see your theoretical understanding is happening, book knowledge is increasing, and your reasoning and inferential knowledge and comparative and relativity understanding will increase. And then and there you get experience there. You can see Tanha reduces in terms of reduction in your frustration or a reduction in your tension. Tanha is the tension what we experience, or frustration we experience. So therefore, when and where you are improving in the meditation, your tension reduces, your frustration reduces, torturing reduces, and this the burden you feel like reducing. But anyway, we think that someone will decide and say you are improved or not. No, sorry to say, you are the person to understand, am I going from this congested situation to less congested situation and then go to the relaxation, or by learning you are going to more and more congestion, more and more complication, then I have to say sorry. This is not the idea of Buddha. But if you learn more and more, and if you get more and more frustration, more and more tension, utterly something wrong. Utterly something wrong. Because this is the Dhammajiva, what we are learning is Swakhata. Then and there you feel, when you are listening, you feel happy. You feel, that may be. When you are contemplating or when you are reasoning it out in the comparative way, you feel there is something wrong, something different from what we learned so far. What we learned so far is lenient and along the flow, but this is against the flow. And when and where you experience little by little, you feel that is what you call the getting rid of tanha. Getting rid of tanha is almost like weakening of your frustration, weakening of your tension. And see huge area in front of you, even though you have not reached it, you know. So this is the way one has to experience as and when you proceed. So to come up to that, or to shed a light on that, we can understand the proximate cause for tanha is Vedana, feeling. Vedana paccaya tanha. That is the way the Buddha explained the 12-fold presentation of the dependent origination. So tanha is developing more and more as far as you are in a pleasure principle. So the civilization, the technology, the infrastructure, and the present day pop culture is to increase the pleasure principle. So there you have to understand that is the normal flow. Nothing to worry, not in this modern age, even during the time of the Buddha, for example. That is the way people measure the developed people, medium caste people, high caste people, only by their feelings or pleasurable feeling. So Sigmund Freud used it as a pleasure principle. So we have to understand in our day-to-day deals, physical work, day-to-day talking, verbal and the mental, how much is charged by pleasure principle. Sigmund Freud told 100%. 100% we are talking, behaving and thinking in terms of pleasure principle, no way out. No way out. But the Buddha says, that cannot be 100%, there is a little chance for mindfulness. Mindfulness can understand why you are behaving like that. Because you are driven by pleasure principle. Why you are talking like that? You are driven by the pleasure principle. Why you are thinking like that? Driven by the pleasure principle. So therefore, if someone is telling 100%, there cannot be any nibbana, there cannot be any liberation. But the Buddha says, your mind not completely go for tanha, but there is a chance when you are in tanha or not in tanha, the discrimination you can understand. So in terms of pleasure principle, in terms of feelings, so you are, when in the pleasurable feeling, you know it is a pleasurable feeling. That means your knowledge is there on top of the pleasurable feeling. That means feeling is not 100%. And when you are in the unpleasant feeling, there's a chance, there is a proportion or space for you to understand, now I am not in pleasurable feeling, but I am in a painful feeling. That means that discrimination, the delimitation is a special endowment in the human evolution. Not every animal or devas or brahmans have that kind of understanding that I can discriminate pain and the pleasure. But if you are carried away, the pain and pleasure, there may be, but I must vehemently go behind the pleasure. You are not making use your intuitivity. So therefore, see, this is pleasurable, yes, but I know it. And this is unpleasant, yes, but I know it. That knowledge, that's the point going to give you the liberation. So understanding of the pain and pleasure, discrimination of the pain and the pleasure, delimitation of the pain and the pleasure is a tool. Relatively, you can understand this is pain, this is pleasure. And very understanding and appreciate. And when you are appreciating, the Buddha is giving a clue. He is giving, if you are ready to appreciate this is pain, this is pleasure, kind of thing, Buddha is giving a clue for you to promote it, facilitate it. He says, each and every pleasure end up with pain. That every pain end up with a pleasure. So if you only search, only look at the bright side or the pleasure part, you will never at least see pain versus pleasure. Understanding pain and the understanding pleasure, understanding-wise the same. And if you are trying to discriminate or delimit it and follow one tiny pain or one tiny pleasure, pain is in the face value and its existence is pleasurable. But when it is disappearing, you end up with pain. And when the painful situation or painful experience, feeling happens, you will be very sour in taste and you are not happy and you cry and kind of thing. But when it is disappearing, you fail to understand it's end up with pleasure. Because of your pleasure principle. Because your mind is bewildered. The bewilderment never allows you to see the whole beginning, the middle and the end of pain or pleasure. The day you understand, you will see your phobia or your weakness is more towards the unpleasurable situation. Because your mother says, may you be healthy, wealthy and happy. And I also wish, may you be healthy, wealthy and happy. So you think with the whole blessing, every time we will be happy. You never someone say, may you be unhappy. Oh, it's a curse. It's a wrath. So therefore you never look at it. You never consider this as a part and parcel of your household life. But the Buddha says, okay, as far as household life is, yes, that you must go for the pleasure, You must go for the gain, fame and everything. But you know in the day-to-day practices, less pleasure and high amount of pain for rich people as well as the poor. Learned people as well as the illiterate. Male as well as the female. Ordained as well as the non-ordained. Buddhist as well as the non-Buddhist. But Buddhists will not be happy to say, no, we are better, we are in a good side, so we always, the pleasure principle or pleasure must be much for us. But let the rest of the lot, they can be unpleasant, that can be, but we cannot be. Like we make kind of a picture, but if we analyze it and see, majority of the time, we are in frustration, tension. And just if you are on experimental basis, see the one piece, handleable one piece of unpleasant or pain, and see when it is disappearing, theoretically or rationally, you know it is definitely end up with pleasure, but you hardly noticed it because you are expecting something and you are at failure to see the end of pleasure, unpleasurable event. Sometimes you may be somewhat success to see the disappearing part of the pleasurable and report pain. But hardly you will be patient enough to see the end of the pain and don't mix up with anything. Just go to the last drop and see. It's a relief. It's gone. Hardly we write it. Hardly we express it. We never put that into our novels. You can write any kind of novels, but see, most of the novels are tragedy. You can make any kind of pictures, majority are tragic. End. We are very happy. We go for that kind of films again and again because it is feeding your this narcissistic, this is not narcissistic, that kind of your love for suffering. So these films, war films and fighting and kind of, you see in a younger generation, always take a pistol and take the target. The father's chest is the target. Amen. And that is what we are feeding. Because it is not a mistake of the parents, but that is the way natural growth. We like tragedy. But even then, we are not happy to see the disappearance of the tragedy. And therefore the Buddha says, when the pain and pleasure happens, whenever you manage to see the pain and pleasure separately while you are practicing, just see the beginning, the middle and the end of the pain, beginning, the middle and the end of the pleasure. That is why it is, as far as you are practicing on a neutral object like materialistic object like breath, just see the beginning, the middle and the end of the in-breath, the beginning, the middle and the end of the out-breath. And when you observe, you see how much the beginning and the end is camouflaged, how much it is mixed up with other appearing and disappearing things, how much we can trace the just arising part of the in-breath and continue with the peak, and to the last drop of in-breath, there must be so much of alignment, so much of mindfulness, so much of one thing at a time and that done well principle, so much of preparedness, so much of failures before, then only one day you can see material phenomena, the beginning, the middle and the end. So if you feel happy by making simple, that is what you call vipassana. Anything, if you can see the beginning, the middle and the end, that is vipassana. But if you only talk with its face value, it is just aesthetic saying, or it's a partial saying, it is partial truth. Our whole literature, our whole scientific findings are just based upon the starting part, or face value, or arising part. I don't know much about, but I heard when and where the Sigmund Freud started this counseling and started this free association and new method of Western psychology, there's a lot of relief. He started this hypnotic analysis and progress, regress and analysis, and many people found, what a new thing. And one person did a research, it seems. After 30 years or so, he checked what happened to these patients. They are back again in the same agony. The whole relief is temporary. Again, but no one do that research. And there's another joke. Earlier, when we were young, if you have a pressure, if you have the blood sugar, you have to go to the clinic because machines and equipments are not much available. So there's a queue, pressure queue, or there's a queue, blood sugar queue, and so much of thing. So and there's ECGs, and people are very happy with these new gadgets, and queue is everlasting, ever. So whenever someone is going to see the pressure, of course is very high, and doctor is writing prescriptions, and they were very happy to come again to the queue, and doctor also will be happy to the patient appearing again and again. And one person, what he did was, he checked the pressure before the doctor meeting and after doctor meeting. Pressure dropped. When you are waiting in the queue, yes, high tension, high pressure, so definitely you must be prescribed with medicine. But if it's someone to see the going back patient, it's normal. But anyway, the patient will take medicine, pharmaceutical industry will prolific, and game is going. And now one person is telling, the doctor is measuring and say your pressure is high and low. With respect to what? What is the norm? Can you say that cross-section around the population, this is the normal pressure? There's nothing called normal pressure. So with compared to what you say, high pressure and low pressure. So exactly the same, if you can see pain or pleasure, you are talking something relative. Just see the two extremes. As a meditator, while you are practicing, beginning, the middle and the end of breath, like, you can see the beginning of pleasure and the end of the pleasure is always camouflage, always bewildered. Because you can't separate it out, you can't make it out, because it is always mingled with other perceptions, other materiality, other volitional activities, other conscious activity. So, if you wish to understand the Vedana, feeling as a causative factor or proximate factor for the tanha, just isolate or reductionist way, take one piece of handleable piece of pleasure or pain, see the beginning, the middle and the end, then you will see, as Venerable Sister Dhammajiva is telling, each and every pleasure end up with pain. Each and every pain end up with pleasure. So therefore we will complain, end of the pleasure is painful, so how can we endure, how can we expand the pleasure? That is what we ask. But you can see so much, I would say majority of the time you are not pleasant, unpleasant, painful, but analyze the end of the pain, it's a pleasure. No one knows. Because we can't make it out, we can't delimit it, we can't precisely focus into that. So therefore we are in a so much of activity, lot of variables, very difficult to reduce. In the meditation, the day you understand, pain is end up with the pleasure and pleasure is end up with the pain, and changing from pain to pleasure, there's a grey area. When the pain is changing into the pleasure, pleasure is changing into the pain, it's a grey area that never titillate our senses. That area you can't see, you can't hear, you can't smell, you can't touch, you can taste. And the day you hit with that, the no pain, no pleasure, you feel so bored. You'll be so monotonous. You'll be so mixed up and uncertain. You see, when I am meditating, there are some parts I don't know. And then easy thing is you feel bored, you feel monotonous, because the pleasure and pain give some titillation, give some hiatus, give some dramatic thing, but the no pain, no pleasure area, of course when you are discriminating only you will come the middle area. When you hit, you find no words, no language to explain it. Only thing you can do is you can develop uncertainty. You can feel lethargic. You can feel bored. You can feel monotonous. So therefore, Sister Dhammajiva is brilliant. The Buddha says always female are being looked down, but the Dhammajiva is really a case. She says that whenever the pleasurable feeling happens, your underlying tendency is the kama upadana, tendency is accept it, be proud, good. So therefore disappearance and end up with the pain you can't see because your mind is bewildered with kama upadana. And when and where the painful pressure feeling happens, you are so unhappy, so you are desperate and about to critical others, even it leaving pleasure, you can't see because your mind is mixed up with the patika upadana, patika anusaya. Do you hate it? So therefore, as far as your mind is obsessed with this kamaraga anusaya, so you always expect the pleasurable principle, and even if it is leaving behind the pain, you can't see because your mind is bewildered, your mind is tainted. And whenever even the pleasurable, painful feeling leaving you with the pleasure, you can't see it. But when you discriminate, you will see. And then Dhammajiva, the Arahant, Sister Dhammajiva, she says, when and where you see no pain, no pleasure, ignorance cannot stop, ignorance cannot stay. Only the ignorance is overwhelming, then only you can't see no pain, no pleasure. So therefore, as far as you have ignorance, you never see, you never feel, you never touch, you never consider this as a part and parcel of your pain, feeling. So therefore, moment your mindfulness bring kind of intuitive and sharpness in the mind, that is the point you hit. In between, in breath and out breath, there is a part. You can't categorize it as in or out. Exactly the way, end of the pain and the beginning of the pleasure, there is a grey area. And end of the pain and the beginning of the pleasure, it's always happening. The grey area, you never hit it. And the Buddha says, that is the way the seamstress binding the pain and the pleasure without allowing the person to see in between no pain, no pleasure. So therefore, the seamstress, the weaver or fabricator or storyteller is always making the story, taking the tip of the icebergs. It never allowed the mind to go down and see the pain change into the pleasure, pleasure change into the pain, in between area. The moment you see, that is the mindfulness is going to give the clear comprehension, and the most important thing or most unbelievable thing is more than 80% of your time you are in no pain, no pleasure. You fail to understand because of your pleasure principle. You only see the glittering thing. You wait for the pleasure. And the day you give the pain and the pleasure equal weight, value, then you can see the difference. Then you can see the beginning, the middle and the end of the pain and the pleasure. Then you see the grey area, whether you are a meditator or not, whether you are a Buddhist or not. Almost you are in this no pain, no pleasure area, and that is what you said, I am very bored, I am very monotonous. I am outcasted. No one is concerned about me. So you try to make something out of that. And then because your pleasure principle, ultimately the middle path, which is lying in this no pain, no pleasure area, you cover it with your hobbies. You cover it with your habits. You cover it with your addictions. And you will never see. So ultimately, you find tanha is unconquerable, powerful thing, because you fail to understand no pleasure, no pain. Not that it is not available. It available for the misunderstanding whenever you feel bored, whenever you feel monotonous. And nowadays, the technology gives so much of tactics not to feel bored, not to feel monotonous, different colors, different shapes, different sounds, different smells, different tastes, different comforts. Ultimately keep the people busy with, not that knowingly they do, that is what it happens. But if you are a meditator, you can see how much you are going for hobbies, how much you are going for the addictions, this and that openly or closely, and everything because you feel bored. You feel life is not tasteful. So you wish to make it dramatic, wish to make it more tasteful. And in the early 3 decades, 4 decades maybe, vehemently you are chasing behind about this pleasure principle. And if you are a meditator, even in this area you can understand it, but in the 40s, 50s, usually people develop kind of a worldly knowledge, and they can understand that pleasure is not appeasable, it is always like vacuum. So therefore, when in the meditation, you read all the interview reports, each and every improvement into meditation appear like a burden, appear like a distraction, appear like a complicating, because our mind is going from known to unknown. Known means the pain and pleasure, unknown is no pain, no pleasure, or neutral feeling. Whenever you go to neutral feeling, you lost. You feel nowhere, no one's ground. And immediately you come because of bhavatanha. Because of bhavatanha, your existence disappears when you go to the no pain, no pleasure. So somehow or the other you open eyes and see, with all the satis available that you bought here, 32 parts. You touch and see, because often you see some parts are not available like, and there you feel fearful, uncertain. So there you can see even the kama tanha fairly answered. That means no much of nivarana problems. You feel the in-breath and out-breath, neutral feeling. And while doing the in-breath and out-breath, continuity to happen, there's a kind of a immediate pleasure also can happen, or pain can happen. So instead of complaining, just see the beginning, the middle and the end of the pain and the pleasure. It's a immaterial thing. Definitely it is not the Montessori class. Once you develop the materiality only, you become qualified. Once the mindfulness gains certain ground only, you can qualify it. Go to the Kayanupassana to Vedananupassana and go there, and if you see, you can see how much we are avoiding, try to escape when the pain arises, and therefore you lose not only the pain, you lose no pain, no pleasure area also. And you do not know how that instinct comes for the pleasure. That is for the craving for existence. In terms of hedonic explanation, in terms of feeling explanation, this is not the only way. There's a perception explanation, there's a volitional activity explanation, 3 characters. This explanation is to the hedonic way, the feeling wise, when and where you get a unpleasant feeling, you are being threatened. Your existence is somewhat unfair, so vehemently you fight, you do not know from where that energy comes. Because your mindfulness is not strong enough. It is fair enough for the beginner's point of view. So if you know it in theory, if you can comprehend or if you can rationalize it, and next day, if you go prepared for this unpleasant feeling little bit and try to analyze it under your microscopic mindfulness, the beginning, the middle and the end, and you can see painful feeling, when it's disappearing, it's a relief. But so far, you never entertain it, experience it. When you are going to experience, you say it's a free of charge. The Buddha says, Laddha mudha nibbutim bunjamana. You get free of charge. Only thing is, you never recognize it. You never go prepared for that. You are not mindful enough. Your rational mind never allow it because this is against the grain. So therefore, the day you go there, you see each and every painful bit and piece is leading you to kind of a happiness, kind of a relief. And if you are other-minded, if you are bewildered, if you are not mindful, that won't make any sense. The day you try to understand it, you see, many things are happening. Whenever you go prepared, the intensity and the frequency of pain is reducing. It's a magical effect because of your preparedness. For example, if you go to a contagious area with the disease contagious, and if you have a vaccine, you have no fear. You know this disease is there, but I have my vaccine, so therefore you can go there. But others may come, don't go there, it is a contagious disease, by contact it will come. He said, yes, it is the way. But I am with my immunity, it is with my vaccine, nothing to worry. So your attitude to the contagious disease is different. And my famous example is, Sri Lanka experienced the tsunami trouble. 55,000 washed, nowhere. But the message came when the tsunami hit in Mullaitivu. It took 1 hour to hit Galle, and still later to Colombo. But no one alarmed, even after 1 hour, because no one knows. Sri Lanka never experienced, of course, during the Kalanitissa Rajyaruwa, this historical event is there, but we thought we are in a safe haven. Tsunami never come because we are in Dhammajiva. We are in the island of Dhamma. So when they hit the tsunami, no one alarmed. If someone to say, Mullaitivu is affected, can the Galle people be aware, wave can come, and then please run into the dry land, but instead what they did, when the ocean became dried up, they ran towards the ocean to measure the land and put up hotels. And then the second wave came, finished. 55,000. If someone knew beforehand, it's a kind of a phenomena called tsunami. First ocean become dry and second wave, third wave happen, and it is go to the dry land also, run inside. And that is what the Buddha is telling. Otherwise you will run into the sea and naturally you become succumb. So if you have mere knowledge, the preparedness in Japan is very frequent. So therefore they have prepared base and let the people have a sea bath, and all of a sudden alarm given and create a artificial wave just like tsunami, and everyone knows how when the alarm happens we have to run to the dry land. So it is like a fire drill. So once in a way in a factory we run a fire drill. So people knows when the alarm happens, they are not running up and down, they know this is the gathering area, go. Likewise the Buddha says, go prepared for the pain, go prepared for the pleasure, and be aware. When you go prepared, it is not so dangerous. It is that the devil is not so dark. And when you go there, you find a middle area, and that area, in the materialistic phenomena or feeling phenomena, exactly the same. I am repeating. Whether you see the in-between, in-breath and out-breath, or in-between the pleasure and pain, exactly the same. No pain, no pleasure. And the feeling between in-breath and out-breath, exactly the same. And if you one day you will see the in-between area of the perception. No memory. Everything gone. But you know you are not dead. You know you are not unconscious. You know you are not sleeping. And there is a perception gap. And there is a volitional gap. You are doing nothing. You learn the art of doing nothing. No volitional activities. You are stunted and utterly open, utterly vigilant, and see things are happening, I think, much better. When you are not volitionally involved, things are happening much better. Best example is, when you are not at home, household affairs are very nicely happening. Imagine your family members, how much they are happy today. You bloody troublemakers are at Nissarana. So centers and our household, they are so happy. Enough. One day you have done 10-day retreat, can you make it 15 days? They are the people get enlightened. But when you are at home forking fingers, this is not enough, this is not enough, soul, this is and that, utterly volitional mess. And when there is no volitional activity, the forest. The Buddha says, the best example he say, everything it is doing, and give everything for the humankind, no demand, no rejection, no volition. What a beautiful system. It knows what to do with the air, knows what to do with rain, knows what to do with the sun, and what to do with the animals, everything. But the human being is, in the sense, is better off because they can do, but can we say the volitional activities. But when Schopenhauer mentioned, each will is evil. Each volitional activity is led into the suffering. Sabbe sankhara dukkha. Sabbe sankhara anicca. So whatever you do willfully, it is the cause of suffering. So in meditation sometimes you feel your existence but without doing anything. Or just being, we call. Or just experience it 100% as a distant observer. And people go for medicine. They say, my memory has gone, so therefore I have to see a psychiatrist to see if it is going to happen. Maybe it is a dementia, or it is maybe some other disease. Some blanks are there. Because they want to have continuous suffering. They want to have continuous tension. They want to have continuous frustration, otherwise they feel something wrong. Or simply they feel bored. Simply they feel monotonous. So leave it aside, but we are on the hedonic side. We are taking on the feeling side. When and where there is no feeling, we call no pain, no pleasure. Or we call neutral feeling. That is what we mistakenly say boring. That's what we call mistakenly as monotonous. That's why we call mistakenly as uncertainty, fear, unknown. So the day you go prepared for this unknown, the day you go prepared for this boredom and kind of the onset of the boredom, then you can, that is the end of the feeling sphere. First you understand it in your in-breath and out-breath. The disappearance part of the in-breath and the disappearance of the out-breath. Disappearance part of the appearance part of the in-breath and the appearance part of the out-breath. So it's a deep meditation. Following from the beginning to the middle to the end. So whenever it is going to the feeling, it's a vast area. And there you can see each and every phenomena, or sankhara phenomena, or conditional phenomena, beginning, the middle and the end is there. And only we are dealing, only we are making stories, only we are fabricating on the middle. That is the tip of the iceberg. And the beginning and the end you don't know. And you make an inference, you make a conclusion telling, I see the phenomena, I touch it and I have the first class experience, so what I am telling is true. But you have to understand, you have seen only 1/3. You have not seen the beginning, not seen the end. So Isaac Newton, he says, I am just like a child playing on the pebbles in the seashore. I don't know about the mighty ocean in front of me. I do not know about the grand earth behind me. I am just a boy. But the Buddha mentioned, Divyan Saita Marun Saita, the world with the gods and Brahmas and humans and the monks and everything, I know everything. That's omniscient knowledge. So Buddha says, you also can know. Just see the beginning, middle and end of the in-breath. And that same token, the same thing you can apply to the beginning, the middle and the end of the pain or pleasure. And there you see, it's a pathway leading to the middle area. Pathway leading to the middle path, directly you can say. Or pathway leading to the equanimity, but it is very yawning, boring. It is very, very monotonous, unknown. So instead you are happy with your tension, the familiar tension, your frustration. And you are making stories and telling everyone, I have that and I have this and I have that, I have that. So storytelling going on, so much of radio, so much of television, so much of pictures, so much of novels and teledramas, because they want to make stories out of this tip of the iceberg. Because they don't know the end and the beginning. The day you see, the Buddha says you will stop talking. What to say? Every pleasure is having the pain. Every disease has its cure by itself. Without anyone's poking fingers. Everything has its own. That is why the Venerable Kondanya clicked it. The Yankinchi Samudaya Dabba Sabbanta Nirodha Dhamma. Oh Bhante, the way I understand your sermon is, every phenomena which has the arising nature, it has its own ceasing nature. So why worry? But that why worry situation happen when and where you master the materiality with the help of mindfulness and then prepare for the feeling side, perception side, volitional side, and that is how you become a experimenting person in this noble quest. And there you understand, we worry because we love worries. Social life means nothing but a worry. Even if you are in the forest, or even if in the solitude place, if your mind is in the chaotic situation, worry is the one, when you sleep tonight, tomorrow morning, you have the same package. If you do not get the set of worries tomorrow morning, definitely you will run to a doctor. Tell you what happens, that who am I, where am I, what? Because your set of worries are not available. And after you assume the worries, just think one thought moment before, when you in sleep, no worries, no I. And you see within a few seconds, with Vattukama, about objectives, we create ego and take the package you just kept near your bed and put it. So you understand, without that kind of worries, what is the way of life? So we are claiming this worry is me, it is mine, it is myself. The other person also wait to say, yes, that is also you, but I also have one thing, this worry is me, this is mine, and this is myself. This is what you call gossiping. This is what you call cell phones. This is what you call SMS. But instead, if you apply the SMS in meditation, do slowly, do mindfully and silently observe it. It is not hidden by any person, not someone is hiding for you because you do not know how to look into it. Even if you look into, still I make a challenge, it is to encourage, you can't express it. Our language is not up to that. Our language can explain the extremes. So very prolific. When it comes to the center, the language loses its powers. But you can, from the extreme, you can slowly come to the middle. When you are coming, you can see many things happen in the telepathic method rather than the linguists, or with the grammar, or with letters, or with any kind of thing. So when you come, you meet Buddha. You meet enlightened people. But of course you start with the furthest end or extremes. That is very explicitly you can explain. And that is what people are very happy to listen to very tragic thing or very comedy. But when you come to the middle, language is also not pleasurable. The listener also not happy. And you feel bored. And imagine the day you learn the art to be glad, to be bored. That is what you call monkhood. This is what you call the meditative life. When you feel bored, you understand, this is what you call solitude. This is what you call the contentment. This is what you call, I am free of distraction, so what about living with this, the boredom, living with this monotony. So when it is happening, you can see the sloth and torpor can set in, negative feelings can come in, and that is why the Buddha says you must have faith, you must have your precepts intact, mindfulness intact, and then you can see you are coming now to an unknown area, that is basically on this no pleasure, no pain area, but it is limitless. That area is infinitum. All the explainable thing is limited. So whenever you go there, you can't go overnight. You have to go there and come back again to the normal world. Tomorrow go to little bit of, and again go little bit of. And when you are going there, that is what you call the progress. It is not, it's no man's land, no path. There's no path. If there are any path, it is misleading. We call it a middle path in an empathetic way. But when you go there, you find your tanha, or your kind of knot, getting loosened. Tanha is loosening, and the way you develop tanha is the other way is happening. So therefore, more and more you go there, not that you are staying over there in the purified form. Again you have to come back to the normal vicissitudes, normal people. And when you come back, you feel like sorry, but you are a different person now. Your perspectives are different. You can see people are suffering because of their happiness with worries, their happiness with their attention. So now you know, just like you have a vaccine and you are with the diseased area, but you know it is not getting infested because I have my own vaccine, but throughout you can be in this vicissitude. Again, you have to go to the pure land. Again, come back. When it is happening, the hardening process is keep on happening. So they are, if it is happening, don't try to accelerate it. It must happen in the very natural way, which you can bear it up. Otherwise it will burst. You go to the silent area, again come back to the busy area. You again come to the limitless area, come to the limited area. You go to the unexplainable area, come to the explainable area. Go to the egoless area, again come back to the ego area. So many never appreciate coming back to ego. Never appreciate coming back to busyness. Never appreciate coming back to vicissitudes. Then there is no progress. You have to come back and see again from the new eye. Just like when the mind go bewildered, come back to the breath. Only be aware the coming back. And that you only appreciate distraction also a must to have this pure land, to have this calm mind or still mind. So you can't have pure still mind. It is a theoretical maximum. This is not, or kevala parisuddha, the Buddha's word, is not on this earth. We have relative, we have sapeksha parisuddha. So therefore go back, again come back, again go to pure, again come back. This is what it is called hardening. The Buddha mentioned about the way the goldsmith is removing the grease and the dust in the gold ornament. You have to put into water, again to the fire, again to the water, again fire. And then only you burn it off, the organic matter, and then the glittering gold will be remaining. So only by water you can't do. Only by fire you can't do it. One layer by layer, burn it, wash it. Again burn it, again wash it. So that is the way it is happening. It's called thoka thokang khane khane. Thoka thokang khane means each and every moment, little by little. Because this is the way the defilement accumulated. But the way now you are removing is much, much accelerated, but it must be in a gradual way. It's a natural way. So when it is happening, before ending I would like to mention, even if you are not enlightened, the day you understand this is the method, you feel like enlightened. Because it is no one challenging. The path is there, but you have to verify it. That is separate issue, you know. As if in the desert, you know this is the oasis. So you don't feel like lost, because you know the path. So therefore, the day you corrected your view, corrected your thoughts, you have not achieved it. But you feel faith, you feel the enormous gratitude to the Buddha, enormous gratitude to the Dhamma, enormous gratitude to your Sangha, and enormous gratitude to your Sila. You are still not achieved it, but you are sure to achieve, because you know it is slowly happening. So this is the middle area, when we are working with Bhavatanha, how our existence, love for existence or love for this falsified identification of self is dissolving. Don't let it have a committing suicide, let it to suicide, commit suicide. It must be slowly weaning off, slowly not giving fertilizer, not giving food, and that is the way it is happening. But beforehand, before going to this understanding of the falsified view of self, you must understand how to restrain your faculties. Without that, you are not qualified to go that area. Theoretically, yes, but not mentally you are prepared. So therefore, see, while it is happening, you are take time for more and more restraint of your faculties or morality, and then when and where possible, go for concentration training. And when the concentration training happen, you can see how far I can use this still mind, the concentrated mind, focused mind, mindfulness to see the beginning, the middle and the end of the feelings. So you are not focusing at something, you are focusing at a process, you are focusing at a flux. You are focusing not at one particular object as you can say it is an object, but it is so transient. So it is called, it's a flux. So even if it is a flux, mind is still, body is still, and you feel, they can't shake me. It is in the full of vibration, full of flux, full of activity, but you can still calm. And don't still think this is Nibbana. No. This is the way you are training, and you have to go deep into that. As the time comes, we will go further into the other parts of this Tanha and Vedana relationship. But I hope this much understanding will allow you to organize your ways and means capacity in order to straighten your focus and explain whatever happening without your interpretation in a simple, humble way. With that remark, I would like to sum up the talk today. Thank you very much for listening.